Hello Namibia, it's a Friday evening at 7 and it means it's time for your favorite rugby show, the show that gives you rugby views, previews and reviews. My name is Wesley Fries. Thank you so much for choosing us tonight once again. And in the next 26 minutes or so, we'll be looking at what happened as far as the Namibia Premier League is concerned. We have a player profile for you tonight. And of course, ending the show with Super Rugby. And joining me in the studio is to my far left, Hermann Rust from United. Good to have you.
Good evening,
and
Wesley.
Welcome to the show. Your rugby high this week, what are we looking at?
Yes, I've got actually two, Wesley. The first one is locally, that's United beating Suburbs at Suburbs Park.
Okay.
With both teams. It's always a good win away from home.
Okay.
And then the Stormers beating the Blues at Newlands.
Okay.
That was a good.
Okay.
I didn't expect that.
Okay. And you can be sure that whenever United win, that place will belong to Hermann Rust in the studio. And so next to him, it's just that I actually forgot the seasonal tickets because he said that Stormers will win. And his prediction looks like this season he should be sitting more with Mervyn Green and getting his sort of predictions right. Roger Thompson, your seasonal ticket, that ticket gives you a VIP pass at every rugby game in the country.
Yes, I knew it was just a matter of time when the Stormers will find their stride, and they did beautifully on the weekend. So, but domestic league locally is heading into round 3 as well. We had the Annie de Waal Schools tournament as well, so there's been exciting stuff happening locally as well. So great stuff. Looking forward to the weekend.
For people like you who are actually belonging to the national sides, it's when you see good rugby played, players, individual brilliance and all that, you can only sit down there and say, okay, now the future looks good.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're in a healthy place with regards to our talent, our local talent at the moment. I think our national team will be well looked after for a couple of years' time. If you look at the club rugby, how it's developing, and well in the schools for the past numerous years have been doing well in producing talent over the last few years. So yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay.
Herman, let's look at last weekend's results. UNAM beating Falcons 43 points to 0. Your thoughts? UNAM still showing that they are the team to beat,
yes,
as we've keep saying on this show.
Yes, UNAM with their pool of players, they've got lots of players, students, and they are well looked after. Johan Diergaard and his team, they are looking really, and he brought in some very good discipline into UNAM that was lacking perhaps in the past, but for the past 4 or 5 years UNAM has been very good, and the other clubs, us, Wanderers, Kudus, Suburbs, we must just pick up ourselves, and that's a challenge every time we play UNAM. Falcons, I think, did well against them. It was, I think, 60 minutes into the game, and they were still only trailing by 14-0. And then they, unfortunately, I think the superior fitness kicked in, and then UNAM ran away with it. I also think UNAM's bench, their reserves are very good. When they replace them, the starting 15 is replaced, then they just carry on where they left off, and that makes them very dangerous.
And Roger, you keep saying every week that this is a team that actually trains for 80+ minutes. Make sure that they play until the last minute, and that's probably what the other teams are not doing.
Yes, definitely. I think it will be interesting to look at the statistics and see what the ball in play is usually, because they really put teams under the pump. And I think with Werner Jeffrey and Johan Diergaard, they've created the model at UNAM. And I think if we can create sort of a coaches forum at club level and have all the club coaches get together and perhaps tap into what they have done, especially with generating numbers to the training field, and perhaps looking at their conditioning models and what they're using to get players prepared, looking at their tactical periodization during the week in preparing for a league fixture. I think our community is so small, our rugby fraternity is so small, especially on the domestic league and at club level. So it's important that we get together and share ideas, and I think knowing Johan as well, he's a guy that's open to sharing new stuff with other coaches as well. I chat to him often as well. So definitely, I think we should just create that platform for club coaches to tap into that resource and perhaps gain some knowledge and experience from those two gentlemen who has built a model that's been successful over the last 3 years.
And just talking about Johan, he knows what it takes to play for the national team, because he was part of that setup as well. So he's also in a way helping his players reach that level as well.
Yes, I think he's got a passion for Namibian rugby, especially for the national team. because he was there and he was the coach and he was very successful. I think he was the only coach that won the Nations Cup in Romania, I think it was, and he was very successful with the national team. So he's still got a heart and a passion for the national team, and that's why he's producing the players at UNAM. And as Roger has said, I think he's willing to share his knowledge and his experience. Experience is another thing that no one can take away from somebody, and he's got experience and that he can also share with other coaches.
Okay. Kudus also came good last weekend. Yes. Good win for them.
Yes, Kudus at home is very, very dangerous. We've experienced that in the past. At home in Walvis Bay, they are with their local support and with their players. We know that some of their players are working at NIMT and at Rossing and all the mines, their uranium mines, and it's easy for them to play on a Saturday afternoon in Walvis Bay. But here it's not that easy because they must travel to Windhoek or to Riobot. That makes them a little bit weaker travelers in the past. But there they are very, very dangerous, as Riobot has experienced last weekend.
Roger, sort of a slaughterhouse that they are building there at Kudus?
Yes, as they call it, the House of Pain down in Kudu Park in Walvis Bay in Naraval. It's a tough place to go to. It's tough to play there as well. So yeah, but just alluding to what Hermann said, I think it's difficult. They always travel very difficult. They're not at their best when they travel, and I think that's also been involved. I've also been involved with Kudus for I think it was 2 seasons a while ago. So that's always been the case. And if they can manage to plan around that, get a strategy for the league competition in working towards getting the best team to travel away from home as well, and pick up 2 or 3 good results away from home, that will really put them in a good position come knockout stages or semi-final stages in the league competition. So yeah, but that's a massive challenge. I think at that time I also proposed going to employers as well, speaking to them, perhaps getting players released on certain weekends, because most of them are involved with either at Namport or the mines, which obviously work on weekends, so it makes it tough for them.
Hermann, just looking at the 2 Riobot teams, they're struggling again. Is it something that will continue?
Yes, I don't know. Actually, I'm not so familiar with their setups, but it seems that it's a money problem. I saw in the newspapers that Riobot also struggled to get the finances to travel to Walvis Bay last weekend. Luckily, they did so, unfortunately for them, with the support of local businessmen and also supporters. But that will be a struggle all the time. Money is always a problem. Finances is and sponsorships is very important, and that, I think that's a lack for them. And they will, I think and also many of their players are working in Windhoek, so they rather opt to play for local Windhoek-based teams than traveling back to Riobot, play there, and so they work until 5 or 5:30. Then it's easier for them to train here, and then rather than to go to Riobot, back to Riobot.
All right. Now another exciting match that of course happened last weekend was Western Suburbs are taking on United. This is one game where no love is lost, and at the end of the day it was United sort of celebrating. But before we talk about that match, let's see what happened in the highlights.
Two games were lined up at Suburbs Park, but they were the first division sides of the 2 teams which took to the field before the Premier teams locked horns. The visitors were firing tries from the onset, and not even the pouring rain could stop them from delivering as they won the game by 47 points to 20. With the rain subsiding, next on the field were the Premier League teams. The hosts failed to deliver, making unnecessary mistakes, and only secured a penalty in the first half. This cost them dearly as the visitors capitalized with the 11-13 lead in the first half through a try by fullback Rian van Sale, with 2 penalties by captain Hermann Rust. The second half saw Suburbs coming back to the game and catching on as centre Nicky Klute scored their only try, then converted by fly half Justin Nell. Nell also scored a second penalty in this half. Suburbs, who are finding it difficult to penetrate United's defence wall, also saw 2 players yellow carded for ill discipline. Thus, United continued their lead through left wing Nandi Karuombe, while Rust added a conversion. The game ended United 18, Western Suburbs 13.
Yeah, very good defense, and I think this is one of the games I for surely must forget. I think there's a lot of work on still to do for our next game against Falcons. We did well in the scrums, but we lack a little bit in the lineouts today. I think we can still work harder on that.
Always a very exciting match when these two teams tap heads together. Western Suburbs taking on United, and United winning that one. Roger, just looking at that one, you'd look at the scoreline, 18-30, very close game, but I think that's sometimes what the fans are looking for.
Yes, I think there was a bit of wet conditions as well, especially during the start of that game, which might have an impact on the score as well and the flow of the game. But United, renowned for a big set-piece team, I think that's the area they went to on the weekend as well. They were dominant in the scrum probably, and I think they were very dominant in the line-out drive as well. So yeah, knowing Coach Hewitt and having coached with him for the past couple of years as well, I know that's stuff he relies on and he banks on, and they are exciting enough, although there's a massive focus with the set piece from the United point of view. They also have very exciting backs out wide. If you just look at the back three with the names of Nandi Vatu Karuombe, you have Rian van Zyl at the back as well. So yeah, and then you have Tuna Amutenya as exciting players. So yeah, so if you're giving ball to run and to counter attack against you, you're in a world of pain, because they definitely have, they're very quick and they have good feet and they're exceptional players. So yeah, so they've got, Youth has a very balanced side at the moment. So, but I think they're also building. There's also young players. Looking at the first fixture with the derby as well, I saw a couple of new faces, especially amongst the forward. The lock we spoke about earlier, I think there's exciting players. Definitely one for the future. And then obviously they're surrounded by some senior heads as well. We know that Winmar is still playing, so he's been around the block for quite some time now. So just to nurture the young boys through the process. Yeah.
Okay, Herman, tell us more about the game, because this is one game that's, I'm sure if you can, you'll talk for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, Wesley Suburb Park, always very difficult place to go for any team, and we are really excited about we are chuffed about the wins, especially our second team. Our second team lost last year against Suburbs there 50-0, and we turned it around with a 47-20 win this time. So it's a huge turnaround, and that bodes well for our future, with our upcoming. We got quite a number of exciting, as Roger has said, new players into the team from the school setup, and we are really excited about them, and we will nurture them also into our first team. So it was a very exciting game. As Roger said, it was very wet at the beginning. There was a huge storm while the second teams were playing, and the ball was very wet and the field. They were, but luckily the drainage was good, and after that it was a good game.
All right. Roger, this weekend's lots of games to look forward to. We'll be looking at the fixtures. But a quick comment on Suburbs' performance thus far in the league?
Yes, I think they did a bit better against United on the weekend. But obviously, I would think that the ball in play was a bit less. It was a much slower game. Taking into account the conditions that it started off in. So I think Suburbs definitely, I think they're comfortable at playing at 50 minutes full intensity at the moment. They struggle to deal with the last 30 minutes. That's just what I observed. So if they definitely need to work hard on or work around the strategy and really completing at least 70 minutes. And then obviously they do not have the depth in the front row as well, so they struggle in the scrums. I think in the first week in the opening fixture against UNAM, they conceded a penalty try as well. They were under the pump, conceded a couple of penalties against at scrum time against United, and this week they're up against even a bigger challenge against Wanderers. So, but it's always exciting for me to have a look at our players referring to players that are in the national team setup, in the Velvicha setup, to see how they perform on the weekend. And there's a big chunk of them on the weekend against Suburbs. So, but also feel like Gino Wilson and Roderick Victor, who's involved with Suburbs. So it's exciting for me to see, and it's important for the country that they perform well. But Suburbs will really struggle to break Wanderers down this weekend. So I think it'll be a tough ask for them.
Okay, let's look at the fixtures, Herman. United against Falcons. How do you see that one panning out?
Yes, as everyone, we also like to play on our own field at Gemsbok Park there in Olympia. It's our home ground, so we don't like to lose there. And looking at the results of Rio Falcon, we don't want to predict, but we really think we are injury free at this stage. New faces came into our team, and the backline was a little bit off against Wanderers in the first game, but we changed a little bit our first team backline, and I think we've got a good chance against Rio Falcon at United.
Okay, that's it. That's Hermann and Roger in the studio. And so the other games, Unam Kuru should make up for a very exciting one. And then you have Wanderers against Western Suburbs. So time for us to go for a quick break. When we come back, it is Absolute Rugby on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back from that break. It is Absolute Rugby. We look at what happened as far as the league fixtures concerned for this weekend. We look back at what happened last weekend. A big win for United as well. Unam looks like they're going to run away once again and making sure that the other teams become the chasing pack. Time for us to look at exciting players in the mold of the Velvicias, the national teams and so on. Roger, we have so many exciting players, young players that are coming through, and there's this player, Helarius Kisting. How much do you know about him?
Yes, it's just amazing to see how far he's come. I've had the opportunity to work in, I think it's the last 3-4 years with Helarius, and he's a very exciting player. He's so versatile. He can slot in at 9 and 10 and 15 on any day. But I think I particularly like him at 10 because he's a big threat for the defense, carrying the ball towards the line, and also he's a good defender in that channel as well. And then obviously his kicking game has improved, and his tactical approach towards the game. He always tries to get the ball in the space as well. So, and players run beautifully off him. So, and he understands the game brilliantly. So, yeah, he's grown and developed so much. I think he's very good prospect for Namibian Rugby.
Okay, so he's a good prospect for Namibian Rugby. So, who is this player? It's Helarius Kisting, our player profile for this week on Absolute Rugby.
In our first player profile, we feature Helarius Kisting, Unam's troublemaking halfback. The 24-year-old Helarius Kisting was born and raised in Marintal in the south of Namibia. He is 1.7 meters tall and weighs 80 kilograms. The quick and witty halfback is one of Namibia's fastest upcoming players to watch this season.
I wouldn't say I was interested in rugby, but the school I schooled at, there was only rugby, so I didn't have a choice between choosing. So that's how I started to play rugby, and that's it.
Kisting clearly had and still continues to have some influential people in his rugby career who groom and help him grow into the strong rugby player we have come to know on the field.
In my high school year, I met Mr. Farmer. Mr. Farmer was always the guy that helped you out. You say we have to go trip somewhere or something like that, you don't have money, he would support you, he would say just come work, I'll pay for you, whatever it is. And I'm just grateful for those guys. And after school, I met guys like Werner, Jeffrey, Johan Diergaard, and those guys helped me with my studies, transport, and a place to stay and all that. And I just want to say thanks to those guys that's helped me throughout my rugby career till now.
Every sportsman and woman needs mentorship and advice when times get rough, but what is TC's idea of good advice?
The best advice I was ever given was, tough times don't last, but tough people do. So no matter what the situation is, you can always get out of it.
In Namibia, trying to be a professional can be hard if you have to balance between work and play, and Kisting is no exception.
I have to go to work, be at the gym, 5 o'clock, gym from 5 till 10 to 6, and then I have to practice afterwards. And it's very difficult because after the gym you're fatigued, your muscles are sore and whatever, and then you have to run again. And especially this time of the year, we are busy with fitness and all that, so it's very difficult. But I try to manage to try to sleep longer hours, recover after the gym, drink something or eat a fruit or whatever it is.
Like every rugby player, TC has also encountered a few moments in his rugby career he wouldn't like to ever relive.
My most embarrassing moment in rugby was at the HSBC, for qualifiers for the HSBC. And then I was playing sweep. So I sweep this guy from Chile, from like across defense or something like that. But like when I tackled the guy, we rolled. And the moment we rolled, his palm was all up in my face. So it was like on replay for us like five times continuously. So it was, yeah, watching it on replay, and it was like on a big screen. So yeah, seeing that 5 times was embarrassing.
TC has 4 caps for the Namibian side and is currently on a total of 9 points. He scored a try on his debut against Tunisia last year in Namibia's opening match of the African Gold Cup, and he still hopes to make it even further.
My ultimate achievement would be make the team to the World Cup. Not to retire afterwards, but like after a World Cup, it's easier to get a contract overseas and stuff like that. And one day I want to play professionally abroad, so that will be my ultimate achievement.
All in all, Helarius Kisting is definitely one player to look out for, wherever he might be playing, and the Absolute Rugby crew will definitely keep an eye on him.
And that's our player profile for this week, Helarius Kisting. Herman, how much do you know about this player? Roger said it's a very exciting prospect for the future.
Yes, obviously we are playing against him when he plays for UNAM. We know him, and so it's always, we must always look out for him. Yeah. And especially around the scrums and the set pieces, he's very dangerous there. But we must never underestimate the coaches that he went under. Roger himself, also Lynn Jones at the Welwitschers and so on. So the coaches are also, and Johan Diergaard at Suburb, at UNAM. So you must never underestimate their input into a player. So I think they've done a great job with him. Coming from his school setup, he didn't win a national momentum league or something, or played in a final or something
but
like
it's
that.
The experience
so
that he got through.
it's coaching. I think it's coaching. Coaches that he went under, especially Roger, that saw his potential, and now he's where he is.
Okay. Roger, Super Rugby up next. You did a great prediction last weekend when you say that Stormers will beat the Blues. It was a good one. Crusaders, we say that Crusaders, and I think it was you or Mervyn who said that they cannot lose 2 games in a row. It can happen, but I think it did. The pressure on them as well?
Yes, actually, they actually did lose 2 games in a row, and I think, yeah, they've also renowned for slow starters in the competition. So they'd lose 3 on the trot and in a couple of seasons, and then when you get to final stages or the final of the Super Rugby competition, you'll always have the Crusaders up against another team. So yeah, I think they're just going through strides at the moment, I think, but they'll definitely be there up against the finalists come towards the end of the competition. So,
but what do you make of your Stormers team beating the Blues? Yeah,
very exciting. I think Stormers also have a lot of young players at the moment that they're blooding, especially the exciting Damien Willems and Eva Viljoen in the centres. He had a massive challenge up against Rico Ionia as well as Sonny Bill Williams on the weekend, and think if we look at media reports and obviously had a look at the highlights of the game, they totally overshadowed those 2 All Blacks in midfield. So yeah, so they're playing with a lot of confidence at the moment, but I think away on tour there were a couple of soft moments, and the game ran away from them, but they were more in control this time round. So I think they're building on something good, and Robbie Fleck is really getting the boys going.
All right, Herman, your thoughts, Super Rugby so far?
Yes, I just want to add on to what Roger has said. I think it was, I didn't expect the Stormers to beat the Blues at Newlands, because there was a flu epidemic in the Stormers camp. They could only practice, I think, the Thursday before the game, and that was a little bit worrying for me personally. But they really did very, very well. They started off brilliantly. I think they were 24-3 up at the state at one stage, and they really dominated. Well, also in the forwards, they dominated the Blues completely. So to me, they are
good result for them.
Yeah, very good.
I think that the new strategy will be to train once a week then.
Once a week. All right, Roger, let's you're gonna predict Lions Jaguars. How do you see that one playing out?
Yes, the Lions coming off a very tough win, and it's getting even tougher this week. They have to travel all the way across to South America and to Argentina, playing the Jaguars away. They coming back. They had a good a win as well, so I think they're playing well at the moment. So they really challenge the Lions. So Lions will have to step up this weekend if they're going to be as lethargic and passive that they've been on the weekend. They'll definitely be tested and might not come on top. So they know what they need to do. They with their backs against the wall at the moment, and I think Swayze has been involved for a couple of seasons with them, so their culture is strong enough. They know how to travel and go about. So they'll be back on their bike this weekend, and we can expect the Lions winning by at least 20 points this weekend.
All right, that's it. Herman, Stormers against the Reds, quick one.
Yes, Stormers definitely. The Reds are struggling to get to South Africa. They cannot fly directly from Argentina to Cape Town. They must fly via London, and that will challenge them at the end, I think. And the Stormers gained a lot of confidence last weekend.
So a win for the Stormers. All right, that's it, Herman. Thank you so much, Roger. Always a pleasure having you in the studio. And this has been Absolute Rugby. Until next week, go out there and watch some exciting rugby, because we're going to tell you more about that and more rugby news. That's next week. Till then, it's bye for now, and have a great one.